Hello everyone, welcome to the wonderful session of reasoning. In this particular session, we will be discussing about the concepts of directions. Now, as you all know, there are 8 directions that we have to study, that we can study on a piece of paper, right? The 4 directions that we easily know are north, west, south and east, right? And the 4 sub directions that we need to study is northeast, northwest, southwest and southeast. Now the 4 directions that you can see with the complete lines are north, south, east and west, right? In between north and east I have made a direction called northeast. In between north and west I have made a direction northwest. In between south and west I have made a direction southwest, and in between south and east I have made a direction southeast. So these are the 8 directions that we need to study. Now make sure about that. In case of north is always pointing towards upward. So make sure about that in examination, in whichever direction you are watching, right? Your face is in whichever direction, it is always pointing towards north. So make sure about that. When you are fixing north upward, the rest of the 7 directions, northeast, east, southeast, south, southwest, west and northwest, these 7 directions except north are going to get fixed. Now when you have fixed north upwards, east will always be on your right hand, south will be always towards downward and west will be always towards your left hand. Make sure about that. These directions will never get changed. Now we have to study a concept of left and right. Suppose from a particular point P, a person has started and visited somewhere, some distance in direction north. From a particular point P, a person has started and visited some distance in direction north. Now from this particular point he has to take a right. So make sure about that. You are always facing towards the north direction, and when the question is facing towards north, right, his right would be on your right hand side, his left would be on your left hand side. Again, अगर पर्सन नॉर्थ में देख रहा है, आप हमेशा नॉर्थ में देख रहे हैं, तो पर्सन का राइट आपके राइट हैंड पे होगा, पर्सन का लेफ्ट आपके लेफ्ट हैंड पे होगा. सो फ्रॉम दिस पर्टिकुलर पॉइंट दिस पर्सन वांट्स टू गो राइट, सो वी विल बी गोइंग टुवर्ड्स आवर राइट हैंड. Now from this particular direction again the person has to go right, so make sure about that. Right is always clockwise direction. From this particular point we will take a clockwise direction which will be going towards this side. Make sure about that. The right direction would be going towards this side. So from this particular point if a person wants to go right, I will be coming towards my south. Now from this particular point the person again wants to visit right, so make sure about that. Right is always clockwise direction, so from this the clockwise direction would be somewhere like this. So if a person wants to visit right from here, I will be going towards my west. From this particular point if the person wants to go right, the clockwise direction would be somewhere like this. So if the person wants to go right, I will be moving towards my north. From again this point if I wants to go right, I will be going towards my right hand, because as the person is facing north, I am always facing north. His right would be my right, his left would be my left. So this particular type of direction is clockwise direction. So whenever the person wants to go right, make sure about that you move in clockwise direction. Right is always clockwise direction and you move at 90-degree angle. Right? Now, suppose from a particular point a person has started and visited some distance north. From a particular point a person has started and visited some distance in north. Now from here he wants to take left. As the person is facing north, I am always facing north. His left would be my left hand, so I will be going towards my left hand. Now from this particular point the person wants to take a left turn again, so I will be moving in anti-clockwise direction. Left always means anti-clockwise direction. So from this if I wants to come left, I will be moving towards my south. This would be my anti-clockwise direction. And from this particular point again if the person wants to go left, anti-clockwise direction would be over here, so I will be moving towards east. Now from east if the person wants to go left, I will be going towards anti-clockwise direction. I will be moving towards north, and from north I know his left would be my left hand. So make sure about that. Whenever the person wants to move left, he will always be moving in anti-clockwise direction. Anti-clockwise direction at 90-degree angle. Right? So make sure about that. Right is always clockwise, left is always anti-clockwise. Now, what would be the questions that would be asked in our examination? Suppose a person has started from a point A and he has visited 4 kilometers in east direction. So as I know, east would be over here. As I have told you, north is always upward. North is always up, south is always down, east is always towards your right and west is always towards your left. So if the person wants to go 4 kilometers in east direction, you will be going towards your right hand. From this point, he has taken a turn and moved in north direction up to a distance of 3 kilometers and stopped at point B. Up to a distance of 3 kilometers and stopped at point B. Now in this particular case, he would be asking you what would be the distance between point A and point B, or what would be his distance between his starting point and his ending point. So make sure about that. A was his starting point and B was his ending point. In case of directions, whenever the examiner asks you about distance, make sure about that you always find the shortest distance available. So in this particular case, we have to find the shortest distance. So in this case, shortest distance would be this diagonal distance. Now as you can see, this is a right triangle, this is the perpendicular, this is the base, and this is the hypotenuse. So we know that hypotenuse in right angle triangle, hypotenuse equals to root of p square plus b square. Now the value of perpendicular is 3. The square of 3 would be 9, plus the value of base is 4. The square of 4 would be 16. 9 plus 16 is 25. So root of 25 would be 5. The answer would be 5 kilometers. So what was the distance traveled by the person? That was 5 kilometers from his starting point to his ending point. Now let's take, suppose this was my point C. Second type of question that examiner could ask you is, at point C, in which direction the person is facing. Again, at point C, in which direction is the person facing. So make sure about that. This pointed arrow represents the face of the person. So at point C, this particular arrow is pointing towards east side. So at point C, the person would be facing towards your east direction. Suppose if I asked you at point B, in which direction would be the person facing? The person would be facing towards north, as the pointed arrow is towards north, right? And the third type of question that the examiner can ask you, ki from the starting point, in which direction is the person standing, or at point B, in which direction the person is standing with respect to his starting point. With respect to starting point, what is the direction of the person? So this was my starting point. From this starting point A, right now the person is standing over somewhere over here. So this particular type of direction, it is between north and east. So the direction that was between north and east was northeast direction. So the answer would be northeast when the examiner asks you from starting point in which direction is the person standing. So I hope the concepts are clear to you. Let's take down some examples. Now this is my first example. In this particular case, it has been given to me, a man walks 5 kilometers towards south. From a particular point, a man is moving 5 kilometers towards south. Right? So let's take down, this was my starting point and I am moving 5 kilometers towards my south. Now then turns to right. after walking 3 kilometers. Now from this particular point he turns to right. As I have told you, right is always clockwise direction. From this clockwise direction would be somewhere like this. So he would be moving towards your west direction, and this would be, distance would be 3 kilometers. After walking 3 kilometers he turns to left. Now from after walking 3 kilometers he takes a left turn, and left would be anti-clockwise direction. So from this particular point the anti-clockwise direction would be somewhere like this. So he takes a left turn and walks 5 kilometers. He walks again for 5 kilometers. Now in which direction is he from the starting place? From the starting place, in which direction is he? So this was my starting place, this is my ending place. From starting place, this is my direction in which the person is. So this particular set of direction is southwest. It is between south and west. So my answer would be southwest. I hope the concept is clear. Let's move on to the next question. Now this is my second question, where I have been given Rasik walked 20 kilometers towards north. From a point, Rasik walked 20 kilometers towards north. So suppose this is 20 kilometers towards north. This was my starting point, so I am marking S. Then turns to right and walked, 20 meters, not 20 kilometers, 20 meters. And he walked, after taking right, he walked 30 meters. So from here, from this point, he takes a right turn and walked 30 meters. So this is 30. Then turns right and walks 35 meters. Now from this point he takes a right turn. Right is clockwise direction, so he would be coming towards south, and he walks 35. So make sure if this is 20, 35 should be a little bit more than 20, right? Make sure you are not drawing it up to the scale, but the assumptions should be clear in your mind. If this represents 20, 35 should be a little bit larger. So he walks 35. Right, then takes a left turn and walks 15. Now from this particular point he takes a left turn. Left means anti-clockwise, and he walks 15. He walks 15. Now finally he turns left and walks 15. From this point as well he takes a left turn and walks 15. So he takes a left turn and walks 15 again. Now how many meters and is he from the starting point? In which direction and how many meters is he from the starting point? So make sure about that. When I will be connecting this line, when I will be drawing this line, right, as this is 30, these two set are parallel lines, so this region would also be 30. If this line is 20, then this distance would be 20 as well. So this remaining distance would be 15. That means this particular region would be 15 as well. So 30 plus 15, he is 45 meters apart from his starting point, and this particular direction is east direction. So he would be 45 meters towards east from the starting point, right? Let's move on to the next question. Now in this question, a man walks 1 kilometer towards east. From a point, a man walks 1 kilometer towards east. This was my starting point, and a man moved 1 kilometer towards east. He then turns to south and walks 5 kilometers. From this point he walked south, took a south turn and walked 5 kilometers. He turns to east and walks 2 kilometers. From this point he again turns to east and walks 2 kilometers. So this is 2 kilometers. After this he turns to north and walks 9 kilometers. Now from this point he walked in north direction up to a distance of 9 kilometers. So when I will be joining this particular line, as this is parallel to this, its distance would be 2, and this line is parallel to this line, so it would be 5. So remaining distance over here would be 4, right? And now I have to find how far is he from the starting point. So how far is he from the starting point? I will be joining these two sets point, right? These two set of points, and my base would be 1 plus 2, that is 3, and my perpendicular would be 4. So I have to find this hypotenuse, and as I have told you in the formula, hypotenuse equals to root of p square plus b square. So my perpendicular is 4. Square of 4 would be 16. My base is 3. Square of base would be 9. So this will be root of 25, which is equals to 5. So my answer would be 5 kilometers. Option C. Right? Let's move on to the next question. Now in this question, it is given to me, Namrata walks 14 meters towards west. From a particular point, Namrata walked 14 meters towards west. Let's take down from this point, Namrata walked 14 meters towards west. Then turns to right and walked 14 meters. Turns to her right and walked 14 meters. From this particular point, she is taking a right turn and walking 14 meters. So right would be clockwise direction. From this, the clockwise direction would be coming somewhere like this. So she would be moving in north direction and the distance would be 14 again. And then turns to left and walked 10 meters. From here, from this point, she takes a left hand and walked 10 meters. So left means my left, as Namrata is facing north, I am always facing north. Her left would be my left hand. So this distance would be 10. Again turning to her left, she walked 14 meters. Again she took a left turn and walked 14 meters. Now as I have told you, left means anti-clockwise. So from this particular point, anti-clockwise direction would be here. So if she is moving in anti-clockwise direction, she would be going towards south. If this is 14, this is also 14. So these two set of points will be parallel to each other. That means this line would be a straight line. If this is 10, this will also be 10. So right now my question that is asked to me is, what is the distance between her starting point and her present position? This is the present position of Namrata. This was the starting point. So the distance between starting point and present position is 10 plus 14, that is 24 meters. Right? So these were the some examples related on directions. Please go through the concepts again. Please go through the questions again. Thank you for watching this video. Keep learning and keep smiling.